Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Grammy Pro Buzzin. I'm Nicole Pajer and we're here with Paper Route.
My name's Chad.
I'm JT.
I'm Nick.
So tell me about the genesis of the band. How did Paper Route come about?
A while ago, I was struggling with insomnia and staying up all night and couldn't sleep. And so I would get out of my bed and just start making music on my laptop. And I decided to show JT some beats I was making and asked him if he wanted to work on some music with me. And he came over and we wrote our first song and then haven't stopped since.
And how did you get involved?
I knew the guys for a long time, probably since about the time that the band's formed. But I didn't live in Nashville at the time. I lived in California, played in a different band, but then eventually moved to Nashville and kind of just became friends. And they needed a guitar player, and I thought, well, we're good buds. We already love to hang out, Let's put some music together and play some guitars, And it worked out, and I don't think at the time that I knew that we would end up together 5 years later and that, we'd be creating music together, but that's just it just organically happened over time.
And so you guys are from Nashville, and a lot of people don't know, but I mean, and you're in the scene, so you obviously know, but there's so many cool non-country acts coming out of Nashville. Tell me about growing up there and developing your sound, which is more like indie pop rock.
I mean, it's always had its different, scenes and its different flavors, but obviously the organic, the roots, the real musicians, the session players, like that is their world, and there's so much respect there. And I think that that's impacted our music a lot because a lot of electronic artists kind of just embrace the laptop as, their only instrument, but we've tried to kind of had all of those worlds collide. And we also try and incorporate that a lot in our live show. I don't really know when we started to get noticed as a city that had more, different genres, but it's always been there, and it's just really exciting to see people pay attention to it because we've just been always doing our thing.
And you guys have such a fun sound. I mean, it's dreamy, there's fun synths. I hear some 80s and 90s. How do you describe it, and what have you meshed together to create this signature vibe?
I think, we're three very curious individuals, and so we like to try to mine instruments for sounds that we maybe have not heard in a long time, or maybe haven't heard since we were kids, the memories. And so, we try to create we try to surprise ourselves and impress each other with the things we do. We're really inspired by new gear, new sounds, new music. But we also have we're very nostalgic, so we definitely reference a lot of musical giants, at least to us, when we're making records. So I don't know. It's kind of who we are. I don't think we think terribly hard about it. I think we just do what inspires us and chase that inspiration.
Yeah, exactly what Chad just said.
Who are some of these musical giants?
Oh man, I mean, it's different for all of us. I mean, for this album, when we were making this, we were really falling in love with the stuff that we listened to as kids, and that was a lot of Brit rock, Blur, Oasis, Spiritualized, Radiohead.
But also we had really kind of gotten into the trip hop kind of thing out of the UK from the same time period, from the 90s, and so bands like Massive Attack, had kind of a formative thing in that too. It was how do you take a guitar band like Blur and a trippy, electronic band like Massive Attack or something,
So your new album, Real Emotion, your sound has evolved quite a lot coming to this album, which this is your third one. So tell me about that evolution. Take me through that.
Do you want to start on this?
Sure. We never try to make the same album twice, and so that is very intentional. But I think the biggest difference on this album is it feels somehow, I don't know how, but it feels a little bit more mature, but also has a more youthful energy than we've captured on the previous recordings. And so it's this weird juxtaposition. I think a lot of that has to do with the guitar playing, Nick's playing guitar, and the drums are very energetic, much more so than the last album. So it just feels more alive. It feels like it's got more of a frenetic energy to it, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's Tom Waits who says like it takes a singer like 3 or 4 albums to find his voice, and I feel like that kind of happened for me on this one, and I just wasn't really afraid of anything anymore, and I just went for it, and I feel like we all kind of did. There was kind of like, let's go out big.
Yes. Let's see how far we can go with this,
Yeah.
So this current vibe is where you guys are. This is
Yeah.
the sound that you've been trying to find.
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to, it's like not to keep quoting people, but it's like the Bob Dylan thing, like the artist has never arrived, he's always in the state of becoming. And I think that this is where we are right now, and, on the next album we'll be somewhere else, but that will be the most exciting thing and the most real thing to us.
You guys are very deep. I love it.
Thank you. George Harrison.
And you guys have 2 really great singles, Laugh About It and Chariots. Tell me a little bit about how those songs came to be. I feel like there's some good stories there.
I'll start.
Yeah.
I'll take Laugh About It for a second, for a spin. You guys can jump in if you have anything. But that song was sort of a like stream of consciousness moment, and those are kind of rare. At least once you've been making music for a long time, where you can just kind of pick up a note and a beat and a chord progression and be like, I think I have something. And then within 20 minutes you have the entire melody shaped, and then within 3 hours you have the whole lyric written. And so I think that there's a degree of like, that's such an immediate process that like you want to honor that by having having that song built in a way that's like, this can be like, we can take this moment that it happened and turn it into like a narrative that fits what the song is about, which is just sort of like this, where people who are career musicians who have been through an unbelievable number of bizarre situations and just like things completely crumbling right inside your hands, but still you're like, well, nothing changed with me. Like, I still want to keep doing this. I still want to make songs. And so it totally fit to be the lead single for that reason, because it's like represents a lot of the career coming up to now. And then it just really felt immediate musically to us, and we tried to do our best to capture that,
Yeah, I would just like to add that song, Laugh About It, is probably the furthest we've ever pushed that side of paper out, like almost to the tipping point, almost like quirky with a wink. And I think it was just really important for the lyric of that song to be as heavy as possible for it to even make the album. And I think if you separate it musically and lyrically, those are some of the maybe darkest lines on the album. And we just kind of love that juxtaposition, and not a lot of artists are doing that, and we felt like pulling the trigger, so that was the first one. Chariots, Chad started.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, Chariots, was just kind of one of the ideas I turned in. It wasn't called Chariots at the time, but it was just this musical thing, and it just had chords that I loved and a percussive rhythm thing that I really liked. And once we started writing melodies to it, we thought we found a great melody that kind of was memorable but also complemented the music. And then when JT came in with the line Chariots, like the whole concept of the song, it just was a no-brainer to us. We're like, this seems really unique and special, and not like overthought. It just felt very like we just caught this kind of energy that we just would be fun to play live, but had a weight to the lyrics. So that's the short version.
So it sounds like you guys are all very involved in the songwriting process, but walk me through how this happens. So there's 3 of you. How does a song typically start? Who does what?
Every song's pretty different, but it usually the core comes from, one of us. A lot of times Chad will come in with a track. A few times I might come in with a track or a melody, and it kind of just continues to get tossed around a lot until we all believe in it. It's kind of the fastest way to unpack that. it takes a while, and nothing's finished until it's mixed.
Nothing's sacred either in the process, and so like all ego has to get taken out of the process, and we have to just try to be brave and go through the deconstruction process to get to the final product a lot of times. So it's never a straight path. It's very stressful and nerve-wracking, and we're really happy now because our album's finished. So
This has been another edition of Grammy Pro Buzzin. Thanks to Paper Route for joining us, and we'll see you guys again soon.